What's up guys, my name is Mark. Today I'm going to do a GarageBand session breakdown of Good Days by Za that are arranged. For those who don't know, it's basically like a behind the scenes, but it's just music, not the music video, where I'm going to tell you what kind of sounds I use, how I mix them, and all that kind of stuff. But before we begin, only a small percentage of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. So if you're new here, you should consider subscribing. It's free and you can always unsubscribe later. Enjoy the video. Okay, so here's the beginning of the song. Alright, so in this beginning part, I have 5. Let's focus on these 4. So the first 2 are the acoustic guitar and electric guitar. They're both playing the same thing. Here's how they sound. In both of them, I do pan them in a different direction. So with the electric guitar, I pan it to the right, and then on the acoustic guitar, left. I did have some EQ on them, where the common thing, I drop the bass down, so that the bass instruments get to be more pronounced. Otherwise, it's just going to be more muddy. They both have some form of compression, although the acoustic guitar has complete compression, and yeah, that's a lot of compression. They both have a tremolo system where it's just basically kind of like a sound where it just bounces from both ends of the spectrum. They all have some kind of delay. And that's pretty much it for these 2 instruments. Next is the industrial design order. This is a keyboard from one of the keyboard collections that was recently in GarageBand, and I love that. And this is one of them. Here's how it sounds. Now, it's just playing a very simple amount of chords, and as you can see here, I really don't do much other than just the compression, and then there are the chorus settings. That's pretty much it for that. Next is the rhythm acoustic guitar. Alright, so for this acoustic guitar, I pan it to the right to the point that it's clashing with the electric guitar. So here, alright, so here I have some compression, pretty much the same EQ as the other acoustic guitar, except that I did boosted the treble a bit. And as you can see here, this is basically what the EQ of this acoustic guitar is like, where I just bumped up the mid-range and the treble just a little bit, and I dropped the bass down. Here on the compression, nothing really special here. Then the last one for the beginning is this choir. I show you this volume slider to show you how automation works. You don't know what that is, it's basically a volume thing, like how dynamics works in music in the DAW. So I use that to do some things with it. Usually you would do it to control the dynamics of stringed instruments or even something like this. Here I just use it to transition into the next section, which is what we're going to do now. Good day in my mind, safe to take a step out. Get some air now, let your edge know. To sunrise, but you be happy in my mind. Can you get the heck out? I need rest now, got me bumped up. You. Alright, so you hear some major changes. First thing you hear are the percussion, the bass, the electric guitars, and the vocals. So first let's start off with the percussion. So it's nothing too special here. I'm using the trapdoor for the kick, the 808 for the hi-hats, and the 707 for the snares. Nothing special here. I did some EQ just accordingly so that you can get this big thumping bass sound.
Or not.
So let's focus on the bass, which I think this is the one that drives your ears forward. Now, here's something that I haven't told you with all these instruments is that most of them go through the entire thing. That also includes the bass. I'm using 3 basses because I don't think one is enough. So I'm using the P bass, which is what you're hearing the most, the 808 bass, and the sub bass. Let's give a listen to the 808 bass. It doesn't really sound like a bass. It sounds very similar to the 808 drum, except that the kick isn't that strong. Here's the sub. Can you guys hear it? Oh no! Is it dead? Oh no. It's not dead. GarageBand has a problem where some of the sounds die, so you have to replace other sounds with like the same thing. You can't even duplicate some because they're dead, which is never a good thing. But luckily this never happened on videos. Next is the electric guitars. So the electric guitars, I'm playing them in crunchy on the pickup setting on my guitar. Now I'm using 2 amps. The amps I'm using on GarageBand are the clean stacks. They're just a clean channel, but on my amp, which is the one that you don't see, I was on the distorted channel. So it kind of sounds pretty odd. Now, they're both playing the same parts, except that one has a different timbre compared to the other one, because the left one I was using the pick, and then the second one is just the fingers. The EQ is pretty similar, but I tried to pronounce both of them and make sure they sound distinctly different. So first thing, I panned them far left and far right. I did some compression with both of them, although I try my best to just make the right channel a little bit quieter. And as you can see here, the waveforms aren't exactly the same, so I have to adjust the gains for each region quite a bit. Next one is the vocals. Good day in my mind, safe to take a step out. Get some air now, let your edge now. Too so nice, won't you be heavy in my mind? Can you get the heck out? I need rest now, got me bumped out. You. So if you watch my driver's license video, which I'll try to link it to you right there, there are meh. So in the vocals, I did no auto-tune. So if that's what you're looking for, too bad, they're not great. I did lots of automation because it clips out because I recorded so close like that. Now taking a look at the EQ and the compression settings, I did some good chunk of it, not like a pop producer. Here I used the AU Dynamics processor, which is one of my favorite plugins, mainly because it's compression but stronger. So there's all the settings for it. Here's my compression settings, like nothing too much. I have the AU reverb so that my vocals ain't dry. And then the visual EQ, I just try to lower the treble because mine is quite trebly. So I just lower that so that's a little bit more pleasant. And of course the bass is down just for the bass instruments to be heard. And let's get to hear the next section. Baby, 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 popping on my empty mind. I just keep on losing the rest of me. I worry that I wasted the best of me. Only baby you don't care. So here I have the choir instrument there, and I have this FX instrument where all I did here is I just used a filter. Now with this filter I was just messing around it so that you get this effect. And then I have this choir thing. I already explained it. And the one I want to tell you the most is this made up vocal choir thing. It's like a harmony one. Here's how they sound. Get ready. Baby, baby, baby. Play that back, please. As you can hear, these are complete garbage. They don't sound great at all. I think I need to do a lot of vocal training just to get them in tune and make them to sound good. Now for these backing vocals, let me take this one. Here, all I did is like a little bit of compression and some EQ and yeah. That's all I do. Yeah, that's just all that is. Otherwise, all the other instruments I already mentioned, there's nothing different because they're all on the same track. If I did it in a different track, I would explain to you how they do and how they different from it, other than the chord changes. So, alright, so here I have another vocal. This is just like a second vocal. It's just playing the exact same part, except I put them in different bars so that they go smoothly. I pretty much did similar to that last one I showed you. Said not heavy and this is just virgin. Trying to make sense of what's changed, call me a whore in my mind. It's gotta go, I can't see what's holding me. Choose to watch all the work break up for me. All the while, I'll make my warmer favorite smile. Still wanna try, still believe. Alright, I'm sorry for just pausing all the fun, but let's show you this big old choir thingy. Still wanna trust you, believe in good days, always inside in my mind. Alright, so if you're a vocal coach who is watching this video, try comment on some suggestions of how I can practice this. Now, here I have this hidden instrument which you didn't hear in that cover that I did. I'm just going to play it for you guys. So when I was using this, I thought it would be cool to fit it on good days, but then as I tried to put this on a part of a song where it makes sense, it just didn't. Tell me I'm not my fears, my limitations. I disappear if you let me. Feel like on your own, feel like Jericho. Alright, for this one, I have this audio recorder, which is just like a lead vocal, but here I'm using the tremolo. And again, as I explained it, it's basically some kind of a sound where it just bounces off left to right channels. And here's my settings. Here I drop my losses, go home, I lost it for a long time. Baby, do way to kill the know you like that thing. Baby, you're my empty mind. I'm looking for the lose in the rest of me. Alright, so I'm going to tell you how I mix these kind of tracks. So this is one of my longer tracks. So first thing, for the percussion, I just mix it to like how would a drummer would play it. So that's why you will hear the hi-hat at your left side and your snares too. But they're quite similar to each other, and I pretty much try my best to just mix it so that all the instruments can be heard without much of a problem. I don't have a specific form. Typically, the general rule of thumb is that I would put the vocals at the center whenever I can, and then for the backing vocals, I would just pan them at some places or another just so that they can still be at the center of attention, and occasionally I would just put them down. And also I would use automation. Now regarding to the bass, I do pan some of them, and for some of them I do clash sometimes because I'm a noob. And that's pretty much how I would mix some of them. Now let me introduce you the new instrument. I don't mean to just pretend it's never happened. Half the same ways to do this in the present. Now this is one of the techniques I use sometimes. I would do a dub of it, and sometimes it would clash, basically. Half the same ways to do this in the present. Can you tell the difference? Leave a comment down below, okay? Next one is another part of me. This is just me touching on the screen. Like you can hear. Like here's me touching on the screen. Just because I was touching so fast and so hard that it can dictate it. I don't know how to not get away with it. And let's move on to introduce a new instrument. Alright, so here, this is just still the same two instruments playing the exact same parts, but here I lowered the octave by 1 so that you can get this really cool effect. Like, here's the difference. Kind of sounds really cool. Next, let's introduce this new instrument. Alright, so let's introduce this new instrument. That's the analog silk. Here's how it sounds by itself. Now, I'm one of those people who really enjoy these synths with low cutoffs because they sound very warm. But in this case, the silk is the opposite of it. Now, in good days, I actually like with it like being completely stock, and because it kind of fits well with the original. And let's get to the FX though. The FX, it's basically the same effect as all the other ones and pretty much every cover, except it's slower, so. Alright, so here is this last barrage of harmony vocals.
Always in my mind, always in my mind. You've been making me feel like I am always in my mind, always in my mind.
That actually sounds the best of all of them because the rest of them are complete garbage. Whereas this one, yeah, I kinda like it. So let me show you my mastering session. Now, one of the things I do when I mix is that I don't put them all to a very low level. Because in mastering, you can basically do anything. And in mastering, what I will do is I just shrink the gain all the way down so that it sounds really tinny. Now, here are the plugins I used to master the project. So here you have the compressor, nothing to explain here, the effect EQ, the peak limiter. So here are the settings. If you don't know what that is, it just begins the track. It doesn't like get it louder and stuff, it does more than that. And then here's the visual EQ. Now, for those who don't know how to master them, I'm unfortunately very terrible at explaining. So I will link a Pete Jones video at the card right here. And that's pretty much how I mix and master them. And this is what you hear. And I actually really like how it actually looks because it's pretty small, but it's very condensed. And although there's some things that look a little bit odd, the majority of them looks pretty good, especially because they are like that. Now I covered basically every single instrument in this session breakdown. Please comment down below of what you want to expect for the next session breakdown. Let's go to the outro. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed. Please turn on the notifications. Please comment down below whether this video is helpful for you for your own tracks and your own music. And for more suggestions, you want to see more GarageBand session breakdowns like this, I have it at the card right here. And I'm going to see you guys in the next video.